Have you ever struggled with building rapport with your prospects before you can get them to invited to something that you've got to do with your business, whether it's product, whether it's business itself? Have you ever struggled with that? I know I definitely have. I've struggled with how to build rapport quickly, or how long to build rapport before you then go into your business opportunity. And I want to help you with that today with some things that I've learned along the way in my own journey. Hi guys, I'm Janelle from janelleemma.com. So when we're building rapport, it's not about trying to get people, right? We really want to find their pains and their struggles, or their dreams and desires. Now, doing that means we have to ask questions. Some of the best questions to ask are those open-ended questions that we know can lead into them, dropping their walls and opening up to us in a much quicker way. So we've got to find what those questions are, and we've really got to get them to elaborate on what it is that they're saying. So, in the sense that someone says, that they do a certain type of job, and then you ask them, okay, so tell me more about that. Or you ask them if they enjoy their job, and they're like, yeah, I do, but, and then they may stumble a bit, and you can say, well, tell me more about that. That's a really open-ended question where they may elaborate on what it is that they do already. And they will definitely open up to you more if you seem very interested in them. So we don't want to seem interesting to them. We don't want to be out there trying to make ourselves look like the big shot, or trying to talk ourselves up, because that's not what it's about. When you're building rapport, you've got to be interested in that person in an in-depth way that makes them feel like they trust you and they know you. And those open-ended questions can really help you with that. We need to become a good listener, and asking those open-ended questions over and over again. But obviously you don't want to ask like 5 questions in a row, because we don't want them to feel like they're interrogated in some way, do we? But we do want to feel like that they can create that conversation with us, and that is a skill. It's a skill to be able to create conversation and start conversation, and it's something that we can duplicate through our teams if we start to really role play that with our teams and get our teams to look at different ways to do that with us. Then of course they're going to learn those skills of building rapport. If you're out and about and you're talking to people, if you're out and about and you're cold market prospecting locally or in a certain area, of course you want to sound like you're genuine. And why not give them a scan over their body? Now, this is not like a physical scan to see how they are or who they are, but you may be able to give them a compliment from something that they're wearing, or something that they're carrying, like a handbag or something. Or if it's their kids they have in their arms, you can really compliment on how cute their kids are and stuff like that. And the key is, before you even start asking questions, the key is to give them a compliment. Whether you're online or you're offline, it doesn't matter. Another thing with online prospecting, if you're trying to build that rapport with someone, go into their about section and find out a bit about them first, or find out where it is that they live, because you may have common ground there about where they live, or have a look at their photos, and you may find that they have kids like you do, or they may have a certain amount of kids the same as you, or they may go on a lot of holidays that you've been to those same destinations. Something where there's a common ground where you can start the conversation off. But always first, you want to compliment them before you go into asking those questions. This is where you need to be genuine. You don't want to give a compliment just because I've got to give a compliment before I talk to this person. It's got to be a genuine compliment. People feel that. They feel your sincerity, they feel your tension, whatever that may be. If it's one or the other, they will feel that through your messages or through your voice when you're speaking to them face to face. So we have to remember to be genuine in our compliments before we then move into those questions. And another good way to do that is to use forms. So family, occupation, recreation, and then your message. That's your form that you can remember to use every time you're talking to someone. So you may be at a barbecue and there's some people there that you have met just now, and you've never met them before. Think about the form, FORM. Think about that, because that is where you can start to get open-ended questions as well. You ask them about their family. You ask them about how their work is, or where they work, or why they love their job, or something like that. And then recreation may be that they, in their spare time, what is it that you do in your spare time? Or do your kids play sports or something like that? And that's really those open-ended questions where you can really start to build that rapport. But if you're looking at it online, and this is where I mostly do my prospecting online, have a think about how many messages you're sending to the person before you actually go into asking them or inviting them to have a look at your business or opportunity. So there may be about 5 to 7 questions or 5 to 7 messages that you send back and forwards to each other before you then go into inviting them to something. Now, this is where I've struggled with in the past, and this is why I like to tell you about my struggles that I then have created some success from, because we always like to learn from people who have been there before. And I feel that I want to share struggles as well as successes to let you know the process in how I've done it. If I'm looking at talking to someone, make sure that the compliment's there, make sure you're asking those open-ended questions, and then of course build that rapport, but not too much. So in the past I've built rapport over months before I've then invited them to something. And I know that building rapport like that, that's just me being sincere, that's me coming from the heart. But it also means I'm wasting a lot of time on the one person. And I might do that with, there could be 10 people I've done that with, which is a long time over a few months to be building that rapport before you then get to the point, basically. So have a look at how long you're sending messages to people, how long you're talking to them online, or if you're inviting them the same day that you connected with them. That's how it really should be. Or a day or two later, after 5 to 7 messages, how is it that you're inviting them to the next step that you have out there? So you may say something like, hey, thanks for accepting my friend request. I can see that we have XYZ in common. How long have you been doing that? Or if it's something to do with kids, I might say something like, hey, thanks for accepting my friend request. I can see that you have kids. How cute are they? Do you only have the 2? Because I might see 2 in one of their photos, 2 kids in one of their photos. And I know I have 2 kids as well. So obviously that's a common ground that we can start off with. But from there, that's when you want to think about the next questions that you are asking them, and find out whether it is that they've got a pain or a struggle or some sort of dream or desire that you can help them with in knowing what to do next for that process. So once you get from there into invite, the process will be different for every person, and it's not something that you can really script yourself, but there is a script that I've learned over time that does work in a really good way. And we need to really focus first and foremost on getting the information, getting them to understand the information of the invite, and having the invite to be something that matches what it is that their pain or their desire was. So a good invite would be based on what you just told me about that XYZ issue. So I'll use that someone's not happy in their job, right? I'll use that as the script. Based on what you just said about the fact that you're not happy in your job, this may or may not be for you, and that's okay, but I'd love to show you what it is that I do because it may help that situation. Would you be open to looking at this? And if so, let's get together next week and have a look through this. Now, I can't promise you anything, but let's just have a look at it and see if it's going to help you out. So that can be a good script that you use. Now, the key points in there is saying, this may or may not be for you. That's where you're taking the pressure off, so they don't feel like you're hounding them or that you've jumped at them for some reason. But if you say, hey, based on what you just said about your business or about your not loving your job anymore, this may or may not be for you, but I'd love to show you what it is that I do that could help that situation. When you say this may or may not be for you, the psychology of the brain takes the pressure off. Then when you say, I can't promise you anything, but why not have a look? You don't know what it's going to do for you. By saying that you can't promise anything, you've taken the pressure off again. They feel like that you're really sincere and being a friend. They don't feel like you're just trying to get them at all. They feel the sincerity in your voice. They feel that you're sincere. And I wouldn't use this as a script the way that I've just said it. Put it into your own words. Make it into your own script, I suppose, for yourself, and keep practicing that. Put it into practice time and time again. Now, if they are open, that's when you want to ask them when they're available next. When are you available next for us to catch up and go through with this properly? Some people may ask you right at that minute, so what is it? Tell me a bit about it. And that's when you can say, sorry, I don't have time now. I would really love to show you this in depth, and now's not the time, because if I told you a little bit now, I wouldn't be doing it justice. You can even say that through messages. If someone's like, can you just tell me all about it right here, right now? You don't want to be doing that, because you're basically giving them the movie instead of the preview, right? So really make sure that you let them know that you want to give them the full info for them to make a decision. And if you told them now, it wouldn't be doing it justice, because you don't have all the information on you to show them properly. I hope that was of value to you guys. Now, the other thing is that we are not using scripts when we're doing this, but we practice it in a way that we're acting it out to ourselves so that we can feel genuine in the way that we're saying it, and it's not something that they feel that they've got as a script from us that we've learned from someone else. So go back through my video. If you want to write down the script that I gave, you can do that, and then just put it into your own words and you know, share that with your team and see what it is that you can do to help them also build rapport, but then inviting them to the product or opportunity or business that you want to show them. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you all on the next video. Bye.